Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to install an Ubuntu server, okay, a Linux Ubuntu Server 2004 LTS, and after we boot we will browse around to check some early configurations and operating system features, okay, so let's do it. Okay, the first thing we need to do is to go to the Ubuntu website and download Ubuntu Server 2004 LTS image file. LTS stands for long-term support, and you will need that. I highly suggest you to use LTS versions for support over 5 years. Our download has already started, so let's proceed. While the download occurs, we can create our virtual machine in Virtualbox. Let's click New. Now I'll enter virtual machine name. Let's call it Ubuntu Server 2004 LTS. It will choose type and version alphabetically as soon as it detects Ubuntu word. I will give it 1 GB of RAM. It will be enough, as we will see later when we boot for the first time. Now let's create the hard drive for this virtual machine and use VDI standard image file for it. Let's continue. We will be allocating dynamically the hard drive necessary, and I will put 15 gigabytes of hard drive. It's more than enough. 10 gigabytes will be also enough, but just in case, let's give it a little bit more space. So after we do it, let's go to Settings menu, System, and then Processor tab, and increase the amount of CPU threads we will be using. This way we will boost virtual machine speed a little bit. So after this we are done. Let's click OK. We are ready to start our machine. Click Start, and you will see a small dialog asking you for the image file. If it is already downloaded, you can choose it right away if you have already used it before, or you can click the yellow folder button to open a dialog and choose it, the file location path on your hard drive. As soon as the image loads, you will see the first screen. Let me zoom in so you can be more comfortable looking at this. So here you will be choosing the language for your installation, like you see. I'll be using English in my installation. After you choose your language, press Enter, and on this main menu, select Install Ubuntu Server, press Enter again, and proceed. Okay, so confirm that the language is English in this menu, and you can press Enter again. If it was the case, you could update, but I don't think it is necessary, so I'll proceed without installing it. And in this menu, pay attention to your keyboard layout, as you need to choose the correct one in order to have access to all the special keys during your usage. So in my case, I'll be choosing Portuguese, and with using the tab key, go down to Done and press Enter. So here we need to choose our Ethernet configuration. The default configuration is DHCP, alphabetic configuration, And as you can see, we already have an automatic IP address provided by Virtualbox, IP 10.0.2.15 in a 24 bits masked subnet. If you want to check it completely, you can go to the info panel and see if everything looks okay for your usage. But as this is a server, if you want to use manual IP address configuration, you can press enter, go to edit IPv4, switch between automatic and manual, go to manual, and if you go there, you will see that you can enter all the Ethernet details for your network: IP address, net mask, gateway, router, and DNS servers. Okay. So for a first installation, if you have DHCP configured in your network, you can keep it this way. It will give you instant internet access, and you can change it later. We don't need a proxy in our configuration, but in a professional use, if your institution or company needs you to use a proxy, please enter the proxy address in this field and scroll down to done using tab key and press enter when you are done. Here you will be choosing the Ubuntu mirror, Ubuntu repository. You will see that there are plenty of mirrors worldwide. In this case, this is a mirror in Portugal. Usually they are inside the operator servers or universities. So keep in mind, you need the shortest path, low latency. So going forward, here we will be choosing our hard drive configuration, our partitions. If we let it stay as it is, we'll be using the entire disk with 15 gigabytes minus 1, because we will be allocating 1 gigabyte for the boot folder, where the boot group software and kernels are installed, and 14 gigabytes for the operating system. You could change it if you want special partitions, and you can confirm everything in this window, in this menu, before you proceed with formatting, creating partition tables and everything. So when you are set, please press enter and proceed with your configuration. Okay, please use tab keys again, because you need to really change it to continue manually, and press enter again. Now we need to configure our machine and user account details. So this will be your personal name for your account. I will write in this first field my name, Rodrigo Matias, my server name, RS Matias or Ubuntu Server. I will let it stay this way, and my user account, RS Matias. I'll choose a password and proceed. After repeating the password, use tab key, press enter when you are done. So Ubuntu Server will be the host name of our machine when it communicates over the network. So please consider not using any special characters or capital letters, okay? Keep it as simple as possible, as this is your host name. So let's move forward. So here I could install OpenSSH server, but I will choose not to do it, and I will show you later in this video how to install SSH manually using apt software. Moving forward, we could also install other softwares. As you can see in this list, I'm going up and down, like Micro K8s and lightweight virtual machines, containers, etc., PowerShell. So if you need to use any of these softwares, you can install them right away. I will not install anything now, so I will proceed pressing enter And at this stage we are already installing our system. Let's wait a little bit until it finishes, and after that you will see that we will reboot our machine. Okay, our installation process is finished. Let's reboot our machine and boot the operating system already installed for the first time. You will be asked to remove your media from the CD-ROM. You just have to press enter and Virtualbox will instantly reboot and start the machine. Now the machine will start. Let's see the new operating system booting. You will see console messages like these. Services are starting, and at the end of the boot we will see the prompt, the login prompt, so we can enter our username and our password to log in. So let's put my username, my passwords, and here I am logged in for the first time in my console. So this is my TTI1 console number 1. As you can see, I have my username at my server name. This will be console number 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. We have 6 consoles available. You need to press Alt F1 through 6 or Control Alt F1 through 6. Check both to change consoles. So now let's check our uptime. We are up over 1 minute. We just booted our machine, so it is a normal value. Let's check our date. As you can see, it's 8th November 2020, 3 p.m. So this is a normal information. It is correct because our machine is connected to the internet and it had the opportunity to check that. Our disk is 32% occupied. We have used 4.3 gigabytes. We still have plenty of space available for further installations if we want to. And our RAM, as you can see, is 1 gigabyte, and I still have 676 megabytes of RAM available for my operations. So like I told you, it's enough. Our Ethernet card is already configured. We are communicating over the network. Our IP address here stated is the one that we saw during installation, and if I put IP route, I can check our default gateway. IP address is 10.0.2.2. It's our Virtualbox provided gateway service, and we are okay with routing tables as we only have one Ethernet card connected to our server. Okay, I have entered top comment. This is like a task manager where you can see different processes running at this time. You can see the amount of RAM being used. You can see the load average at the top of the window, which means how much processes are waiting for CPU at any point in time. So what you will want is an average less than 1, load average less than 1. At this moment we have 0.01, which means the machine is completely free with no special tasks requesting CPU process. Moving on, we need to configure our root password. Let's do sudo passwd root and enter our own password followed by the new root password. After we are done, we can use su-, which will log in to root and use complete profile. You see here is htop command. It's a much more interesting software than top because it has colors, it has a nice view of the CPU cores and memory in the green, and it's an option if you prefer. Moving on. Okay, now we will install SSH software, server and client, but in this case we are interested in the server side. The package is called SSH. Command to install it's apt install SSH. We are done. Now let's check some stuff. First, we will use systemctl status SSH to check its status. You can see it is active. Then ss command -ltn to check that we really are listening in port 22, standard for SSH protocol. And now let's enable the firewall in Ubuntu Server and check that it is already active. We need to add a rule for port 22 in TCP protocol. Rule is already added. If we check the status again, we see that now we have the rule stated in the list. Security is always important, so we need to make sure we take care of it. Now let's go to netplan folder to create a configuration for a new Ethernet adapter. It will be called ENP0S8, and I'm making a copy of the file to make a new configuration. I have made a copy to make it easy and faster. So let's delete the DHCP line and add the new static configuration. Directive will be directly an IP address 192.168.52.1 in a 24-bit subnet. And then let's put the name servers directive. It will be empty because we are not adding any DNS servers to this configuration, either gateway. So let's change the name to ENP0S8, and in this file we are done. Always remember that the YAM file has a very specific syntax with 2 spaces between each indentation, and after that let's switch off the machine, shut down. We need to go to the settings menu on Virtualbox in order to add adapter 2, put it in host only mode, and make sure the network VBoxNet0 in my case is configured with an IP address in the same subnet. As you can see, my VBoxNet0 is correctly configured to the required IP address. Press apply, press done, and you are ready to boot your server again. So after I complete the boot, I will log in and show you a simple SSH connection from my host machine, my MACOS, using terminal. I will use the SSH command to connect to my server. I'm logging in. I'm logging into root account. I need to get some traffic. So first thing to check is my IP address. As you can see, is correctly configured. I'm pinging my host MACOS, and then let's call TCP dump -v for verbose, n for numbering, -i for the correct adapter and filtering for port 22. I'm listening the Ethernet traffic. I have called my terminal on my MACOS. I'm calling SSH client command, logging in -L rs medias, and destination IP, configuring and accepting fingerprint, entering the password, and I'm logged in. Let's enter W to check my host IP and check also my traffic in the server window. Let's call it uptime to see how long I've been running this server, and we are done. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please press like button and subscribe to my channel to see more videos and support this project, okay? Bye bye, thank you, see you in the next video.